Hi, Joe Bell here, G4PNY, and we're looking today at the Racal TTA 1870 500 watt multi-mode transmitter. This one has come in, it's going to be repaired. The top unit that's in view now is the exciter, the MA1720. The bit that's missing is the faulty bit. That's the feeder matching unit, the TA, also the MA1004, and below that is the metering unit for the supply voltages and current to the power amplifiers, also the forward and reflected RF power. Below that are 4 RF modules, each providing 125 watts. They're linear amplifier modules, followed by the power supply breakers, and at the bottom of the rack is the 2 very large power supply transformers, rectifier units and smoothing. The feeder matching unit is not actually finding 50 ohm match, and we'll be looking at that in detail right now. Here is the MA1004 feeder matching unit, taken out of the rack and placed on the bench for repair. Here you see the constant voltage amplifier, which is used during the low power tuning cycle. Here you have the range board, the tuning control board, and the 2 servo boards, servo drivers. This is the fine tuning discriminator, and here we have the knobs for manual adjustment of the inductors, which are in fact motorized. On top of the unit I've removed the power supply. We have 2 magnificent variable inductors, which are driven by the servo motors here and here. On the side of each servo motor is the RF detector, which is used to detect when the inductors are in the correct place to give us 0 volts out of the RF detector, which is approximately a 50 ohm match. This plate carries button capacitors, and there are striker solenoids on the underneath of this plate, which ground the bottom end of those capacitors. So the matching unit then is a series inductor, which is called a tune inductor, a set of parallel capacitors going to ground, and a series inductor going out to the antenna, which is called the load inductor. One of the problems we found is that the fine-tune discriminator had a faulty diode, and also its meter, which is only used in manual tuning, was open circuit. The unit is normally fully automatic, but you can, by flicking the switch over to tune and selecting the frequency range here, manually tune by rotating the inductors till you get a 0 in the meter. It's important to realise that this is a feeder matching unit, it's not an antenna tuner. I'm sure you all know that you can get critical lengths of coax line which prevent an antenna being tuned properly, and you either have to add coax to them or remove coax from them, shorten the line or lengthen the line in order to get a good match. Inside the cabinet of the TA 1870 are 3 lengths of line of varying length, which are switched for that purpose, and they're used in conjunction with this variable inductor capacitor setup to actually allow you to get a 50 ohm match. These transmitters were designed for use with broadband antennas whose impedance across the working frequency range is a nominal 50 ohms. So the only problems you have in getting a proper conjugate match is when the length of the feeder becomes critical, and that's exactly what this unit is designed to overcome. On the underside of the tuner are the 2 servo amplifiers and power drivers, and a number of solenoids which work contacts onto button capacitors, which are on a plate on the other side, and a cam assembly which is driven directly from the tuning capacitor here, and that brings in predetermined capacitors. It's all been pre-calculated, so if the inductor value equals a certain value, then they will apply via the cam switches a certain amount of capacitance to provide a match. The solenoids underneath drive these earthing strips upwards, and they earth the bottom end of the button capacitors that you can see here. This assembly actually sits on top of those strips. Well, we popped up to our favourite surplus dealer in Leeds and got a scrap tuner unit and cannibalised some of the bits. The setup is we're using the DRC1 desktop controller to control the transmitter. We've got it on a dummy load, we're just going to switch it on. It's quite noisy when you switch it on. And then we've got to press the tune button, watch the servos work. So you can see on the power when we tune, we're getting about 200 watts out. The reason we're only getting 200 watts is that sadly we've lost one of the modules, and so it's not combining properly. Just pick up the desktop telephone. But at least the unit is working. We just have to get a transistor now for the broken PA.